welcome back to another episode of KTCG. We are on episode 9, everybody.
Yes.
Gosh, we've done a whole season.
We've done a season.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm so excited today. In fact, I am one of your co-hosts, Natasha Moera, and I am joined by my fellow lovely co-hosts,
Chido Natasha.
And today we have a familiar face we've had before, a special guest of ours, Rachael. And today we're gonna talk a little bit to Rachael, find out a little bit about how she's been doing since we last spoke. Some of you may remember her from episode 2, where we talked about Black History Month, talked about being a student, while all this racial tension is going on around, but also speaking a bit about the situation that was going on in Nigeria at the time and how she was coping as a student. So, Rachael, hello.
Hi. I'm excited.
I'm so excited too. So, just as a reminder for the people that may have watched but have forgotten, or the people that don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? What are you studying at university? Where are you from? Give it to us.
So hi everyone, my name is Rachael. I'm Nigerian. I'm going to my 3rd year right now in business management and human resources management. Yeah, I'm okay.
That's the correct answer. It even came out like an almost final year student.
I'm okay.
We're getting ready for the new semester. I'm excited. Well, somewhat excited.
As excited as you can be, which is understandable.
Yeah, because final year is such a big thing. I think when you're in university, the first year is first year you're trying to get used to things. Second year is a weird limbo of realizing that everything counts, and you need to really work hard and put in the effort. And then final year, it's really the last year, and somehow all of a sudden you're almost done with the degree. So that's the craziest thing about university, but you'll be fine. Listen, we came out of it.
Yeah. We
so
got
you will be fine.
You will be. How was your second year though? We last spoke in October, which is a while ago.
Yeah, about 9 months ago.
Second year was okay. It was hectic. A lot of assignments, funding on teachers. I think the thing that made it a little bit more difficult than usual was the fact that everything was online. So instead of having the teacher or the lecturer in his office where you can just go knock on the door and ask questions, send an email, wait for 2 or 3 days before you get your email and all the questions, and you're racking your head. But second year was fine. We're getting ready for 3rd. Hopefully everything goes according to plan. Yeah.
Oh, all the best with that. We obviously, Tasha and I have experienced final year. It requires a different kind of effort and motivation to go through. But well done for making out, honestly. To have done a whole year online, that's no small feature. Big up to you.
I was about to ask, for your first year, did you have your first year, you had half of your first year in person and
then the other half online.
Wow.
And I think things are going back to face.
Oh, so that's good. At least if there's a little more face-to-face interaction, because I know they've been talking about a more hybrid approach, but trying to have more in person. Just hopefully you'll get some.
Because I really do enjoy the face-to-face more than the online. So from all the emails we've been getting, I think things are going to be back to normal or almost normal by probably mid of this semester.
That would be good. And would you say the online aspect of your second year was one of the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I would say that. Not that it was a big challenge or something like that, but more of a preference challenge. I prefer the hands-on, face-to-face.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, type of classes than over the computer, or maybe Wi-Fi is bad and I cannot hear what my teachers are saying. But it was okay.
That's fair. That's fair. Did you have any other challenges? Because I know there'll be a lot of other students.
Yeah, well, one other challenge was the fact that I wasn't able to go home. This summer we planned to go home, and COVID, and I haven't seen my parents since 2019.
Oh.
So the plan was to go home for the summer, but the whole COVID situation just spoiled everything. And my dad was like, I think it's best if you just stay.
Yeah.
And if possible, he'll come, but that wasn't possible either. So, we're coping.
I guess kind of even being on that, I think what you just touched on is something that I know I have experienced as an international student all the time. Sometimes I tell people that I'm always homesick. I want to always be able to go home. I want to be able to be like, this weekend, I just want to be with my mom, or I just want to see, I just want to do things that you normally do at home, but sometimes you don't have that. How have you coped? Because it's kind of being an international student, some people do experience homesickness, right? That's like a given, pandemic or not. But now dealing with homesickness and a pandemic and a whole new way of managing things, how have you gone about that? Are there like some tips that you have? Are there key things that you did?
I can't say in particular. I won't say it has been easy on me, but it's not. Maybe it has been difficult, but probably not as difficult because I'm here with my sister. So I have one family member with me here. So probably not as bad as being alone. But I call a lot. I call very often. And there was this one time where African parents, they shout at you a lot. So I haven't had anybody shout at me in like a year and a half. So it was like, maybe I should just call my mom and just tell her to just yell.
Say something. Make me angry.
Exactly. Because you know how it is. It might just be the slightest thing and you just yell, but being alone at home, being alone here, and you're by yourself, there's nobody to really give you that raw African.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So
100%.
Get that completely. I remember I was super stressed, so it wasn't necessarily like yelling, but I remember being so stressed. This is probably my first semester of my final year, and I called my mom. I said, I just need you to tell me I can do it. I don't know why. You're the only person who can get me out of this rut right now.
Yeah. And that's really tough, but honestly, I really do commend you for getting this far. And I'm hoping and praying that like by the time you move into final year, that you get an opportunity to go home, really. That is,
I really hope so too.
That is really it. But speaking about the coming year, being hopeful, looking forward to new things happening, is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to in the coming year? You're close to graduating. I don't know whether you're thinking of doing masters or thinking of like going into work, or maybe certain things that you've just always wanted to do in Swansea that you haven't been able to do just because of the situation.
Well, this year we were supposed, and my friends this year were really set on exploring, because not necessarily, third year you have to put all your focus on school. Second year you have to focus as well, but like it's not as tough as third year. So in our heads, like second year we'll explore Swansea, or maybe go to Cardiff, or we were able to go to Cardiff in the end, but not as much. So I'm really hoping that by this coming semester, hopefully, maybe after I graduate, something I could be able to explore Swansea before I leave. And yeah, that's basically it. And after graduation, I most definitely think I'm going to do my master's immediately. I've spoke about it with my parents, and we've chatted about it. And I think going into master's would be the best right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's really cool that like you want to travel around in like Swansea and Cardiff. To be honest, that's one of the things that I regret. If anything, regret's a really strong word. Maybe not regret, but it's something that I wish I could. I mean, I still can go back to Wales and do all this.
But you're not doing it as a student though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the
The thing
same.
is, when we were first applying for the university and looking for universities in the country, I honestly didn't know what Swansea was. I hadn't heard about Swansea. I knew there was Wales, but like I didn't know anywhere in Wales. And when my dad was like, why not just choose Swansea University? I was like, what's
Where's that?
it was
Where
not
is
later
that?
on after like researching and searching up, I really found that there are a lot of places to actually go in Swansea, a lot of beautiful places, not too far from the school, even in Cardiff or somewhere else in Wales. So I'm really looking for the opportunity to like look around and
Yeah, no, fingers crossed you'll be able to do that. And I'm pretty sure you will. Even if it's just like the small trips.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
That's true.
Definitely.
Doesn't always have to be a big grand trip.
Yeah.
But one new adventure that you'll be going on in final year is, well, this is an announcement, right? I should probably hype it up this way.
Exactly. You should probably be like,
we have a major announcement here at Keep the Conversation Going Studios on Zoom. Drum roll, please.
Come on, everybody.
Rachael will be the new co-host. Yeah, like screamers, confetti. It's like a rainbow, whatever it is, anything that resembles happiness. Congratulations, Rachael. That's like huge. We're excited. Like we said at the beginning, we're excited. I hope you're excited. What made you apply? That's good. I'm happy you're excited. Kind of awkward if you weren't.
Applying was after the first video we did. After the video we did, I've seen some of the other videos and I've actually found an interest in it. And also, I believe there's more to talk about. It's not just to us, but for other people outside, the black people, Asians, the Arabs, even for the white people, there's still some conversations we still need to have for not only about race but religion as well. So I believe there's still some extra things we need to talk about, and I just wanted to play a small part in keeping the conversation going.
Hey, you're even using the catchphrase.
Yes.
Amazing. What kind of discussions, like give us a little taste. What kind of discussions or interviews do you plan on having? Or like topics? What's going through your mind?
Right now, majority of the things I've been seeing, probably because I've been leaning towards that side, I want to tackle the religion side, where the whole issue of Muslims and Christians having a big issue with each other. I want to like see from the Muslim point of view and also see from the Christian point of view, and maybe find a middle ground, maybe explain each side, as well as I think that's one of the main things, as well as the I believe more of my focus is going to be on the religion, because not only are the Christians having issues, but I believe the Muslims, the whole issue on ladies having to, the whole thing about people having an issue with hijabis or assuming all Muslims are terrorists or they're going to bomb the whole city. So I believe that's what's I would like to talk about more, and also definitely touch on the race topic, more of how it has affected, not because we've spoken about the effects on Black people, but I want to talk about the effects on the Asians, because especially this whole COVID, where everybody thinks a Chinese person is carrying COVID, or how they have gone through that, how they have managed to keep themselves going. So
I think that's good, because when we talk about diversity and inclusion, diversity is not just about color. It's because there's some things that are hidden, right? Even when we talk about disabilities, right? They're very obvious disabilities, and then they're hidden disabilities. These are things that should be talked about and addressed. And even when it comes to cultural things or religious issues, that becomes a very big thing, because people do have multiple biases when it comes to those things. And whether it is said very outrightly or through people's actions, that can cause people to be discriminated against, which can happen in the university. I know the university, does try to have, anti-bullying policies and everything, but sometimes you can't control the action from happening. It's really about how they go about it. But I suppose part of what goes on with KTCG is that we have these conversations so that it doesn't have to happen in the first place. So I think, continuing the conversation and expanding on other topics that we probably haven't been able to cover is a good shout.
Yeah,
it is. It's exciting. I'll be excited to see the next installment, the next season. Just because I think it is, I echo Natasha's sentiments. I think it's so important to discuss issues of diversity, not just race. But issues that people from protected categories face, especially as students. I think we experience such a heightened microcosm of real life that, something that's would take you, I don't know, a day to get over can take you weeks, because you have to encounter either the same situation or the same person over and over again. So, I agree. I think there are plenty more conversations that need to be had to move this conversation forward, to keep it going, and for that, for it to one day stop, really. That's the goal, right? Is we don't have to speak about this. So yeah. In your own words, I know we've spoken a little bit about why it's important, but in your own words, why is Keep the Conversation Going an important platform to have?
I believe, especially in universities where you meet different people, from different sides of the different countries, different traditions, different beliefs. I believe something like this makes it easy for other people to understand each other. Because if I meet someone from Australia, for instance, and they have some different beliefs to what I believe in, and we've gone through a lot of arguments, and we don't seem to understand each other. Talking about it, having a platform like this that talks about those type of issues makes it easier for people to understand, and makes it easier for people to put aside their differences and find something in common with each other. I believe that's probably one of the biggest reasons why it's important.
I agree. I think especially knowing how huge of a melting pot university is, it would be negligent of us, even as students, to disregard different cultures, different belief systems, how people present to the world differently. It would be, remiss of us to just ignore it and not to discuss 100%. The complexities that come with, interacting with people from different areas, different backgrounds, different belief systems, to be honest. So I agree with you. I think it's a good way to humanize people, because I think sometimes it's so easy to look at, how someone identifies on paper and dismiss them, whether it's on purpose or because of, subconscious biases. It's so easy to do that. And so actually speaking to people, it's a huge way to humanize people or situations. So I agree with you.
100% agree as well. I think just having more of these conversations, I think this was the dream, right? To keep the conversation going. And at least, for us, having conversations has been enlightening. Honestly, we've learned so much. We've learned so much having these things, learning, about some things that we do that aren't really helpful or conducive to the change that we want to see with diversity and inclusion within the university, and even just outside of that. But especially in university, I feel like once you go into university, especially where you have people coming from different places, it's almost like it's a training ground to become a global citizen, because the world is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. You need to know how to respect people's cultures, to be able to see past differences. And I think we always talk about this a lot. You know, diversity is one thing, which is having different people. So we have that, but inclusion is making sure that those people feel like they belong in that diverse setting, not that they're just outsiders. And I think, you know, my hope is that with the episodes that we've done already and with the amazing work, listen, the amazing conversations you're about to have, I really think like it'll make a big difference, and that hopefully more students will be able to be engaged and see the benefits of having more conversations like this.
Yeah, it'll be, like I said, I'm excited. We are at, I can't even call this a segment. We're at a very interesting point in this episode where we're actually going to hand over hosting powers to Rachel. I wish we had a sword to
just like
knight you. It'd be amazing. But we're actually going to be interviewed by Rachel, by the next lovely, beautiful, amazing host. I'll keep the conversation going. So yeah, handing over to you, Rachel. What would you like us, Natasha and myself, to answer today? We have no idea what Rachel's going to ask us, by the way. We're going in cold.
Yes.
Yeah. So being that you've just graduated from university and everything, so I wanted to ask how life has been treating you so far. Because from what I know, you decided to go straight to work. So I wanted to know how you've been coping, how the change from always having to go to lectures to having to wake up early to now go to work has been treating you.
Chido, you want to go first?
You know, Natasha, I think you're so eloquent.
Wow.
I think you're so wise that it would be a dishonor for me to go before you and answer.
You know what? Let me take it, and we'll deal with some of this off screen. No, you know what? There's a change. I think I would be lying if I said it's been perfect.
I would call you out.
Yeah, I would be lying to say it's been perfect, because it is different. I think in uni, you have control over your time. Like, yes, you have lectures, but you have control over your time. And when you start working, hey guys, 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock, okay? And, you know, just adjusting to work, moving to new cities. I think we're now, Chido and I have both moved to different places within the UK. And starting work in a new city, you're kind of starting over. We don't have the benefits of like university where, you know, it's all the freshers coming all at once, so you guys meet. No, you're like an adult, so you have to actively put an effort to make friends.
Yeah.
And that's such a weird thing, because, you know, I don't know why I'm admitting this online, but I remember before I started work, because of COVID and just being too used to spending time with my friends, I've forgotten how to have small talk, right? Because with my friends, we know each other. So we go straight into you know, all the different, like, none of the, oh, how's the weather today? Nah. So I had to start, like, I was listening to a book on how to have small talk, like how to like adjust to those kinds of things. Because for me, I was actually so scared. I was like, I'm going to be going into the office sometimes. I don't want to just be sitting there quiet and not having anything to say, or being that person who, after hi and how are you, I'm just like, fine. Great. Exactly. Yeah. So it's been okay. I think it's getting better. It was super exciting before starting though. Then we started, then I think it's just the growing pains. But I think where we are now, I think maybe about a month in, I personally feel like I'm settled. I won't speak on Chido's, you know, behalf so that she can speak for herself. But I've been finding myself settling in more, and also just accepting this change that has happened. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was definitely exciting. It still is. I actually had one of my colleagues was like, oh, you still sound fresh.
It's the hope, it's the ambition,
it's the excitement, the motivation, the drive. but I actually told him, I said, no, but I want to stay like this. I think
Yes.
one thing that I'm determined to do is not to get weighed down by the woes of work. It's so easy. I completely, honestly, completely understand why people, I don't want to say have no time for life, but the work-life balance is, you know what, actually, this is what I've learned. Not that work-life balance is a myth, but I think it's more of a rhythm than it is a myth. I mean, than it is a balance. I think there are certain things that you take in your stride that then make it easier for you to do work, you know, invest in your personal life, um, invest in your own personal development, you know, take care of yourself as well, resting, you know, spending time with family and friends, actually being social, being a young person. I think those are some of the things that have been part of this learning curve. Definitely, you know, the technicalities around actually starting work, learning your role, learning the systems, you know, meeting your colleagues, learning honestly who you need to go to for what. That's, you know, that's the stuff we expected. But I think it's more learning that rhythm is what is, I suppose, the biggest challenge. And learning your place. Natasha and I are very we like to be goal oriented and like very purpose driven. So if we don't know what we need to do, like where we're trying to head to, it kind of disorients you sometimes. But to speak back on my own behalf, yeah, we're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting there.
100%.
Okay, for the purpose of the video, or what do you think can be? I'm very sorry. What do you think the difference between diversity and inclusion is?
You know, I think Natasha actually made a really good point. I think diversity is when you have, okay, I'll use this as an example, right? Say you have a table and chairs of people, and you have people from, let's say you had one person from each continent. You made sure you had as wide a variety of people from different races, from different socioeconomic backgrounds, from different, whether they're an able person or a disabled person, like just you have all of these things, different religions, you have the different intersectionalities presented, right, at this table. And say you have the table, right, and the chairs. That's diversity, right? But inclusion is the chair soft? Is it comforting? Do they have space at that table? Do they each have the same, I don't know, devices given to them to record whatever meeting is happening? Or is it that you have a whole table and 1/5 of that table is 5 people, and then you have 4/5 of that table for one person? How is the, you know, how are you being welcoming to the diverse people at the table? Do you understand the dynamic of what they bring? And how welcoming are you to that and their ideas? So not necessarily just is the environment inclusive to them and their ideas, but how are you allowing their ideas to come through at that table? Are you giving everyone's voice equal weighting? I was going to say equal weighting and then get into some like finance. That's a whole, I said weight and it triggered my mind. But I think part of it is making sure that not just the people are welcome, because you can always welcome people into an organization, but are their ideas welcome? Are you creating an environment where, yes, you may have women on your board, yes, you may have women in your senior management team, but do women in general feel like they can actually climb to the top? Do the women, you know, because for example, the woman who got there may have fought 6 years to get to the top, whereas someone else only fought 2. So it's asking questions like that, like not only what are you presenting, but what's the numbers behind the facts?
And I think just kind of adding on to that, especially on the inclusion piece, you know, when we talk about people coming from different backgrounds, they have different approaches. It's making sure that people are given the agency to use what they know, and that difference is embraced. I think that's the difference. Like diversity, you have the difference, but if at the end of the day, you know, we have women and men in the room, or people, you know, across the gender spectrum, you know, in a room, but the only people that can actually make decisions, the only people who are noticed, the only people, you know, that are seen are men, then yes, you have a diverse group of people, it's just not super inclusive.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to that, when you think about inclusion, I think the word that comes to mind is consideration.
Yeah.
So yes, you have this diverse group of people, but like, are you considering their different backgrounds and who they are and how their differences can be embraced and brought together in an environment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the point where it's like I can remember this one advert for a company where it was not just to like explain the point even further. They had a I think it was Red Bull, the advert about Red Bull makes you go to heaven, and you see the backlash, the yelling, all the comments and everything. And people were asking, don't they have any Christians in their board meeting, or someone who's like, yeah, there might be a Christian in there, but the person might not have may not feel as if he's going to be heard or something. So I believe diversity, you can't have you can have diversity without inclusion, but
Yeah.
it's best to have both of them together. Yeah.
100%.
Um so from all the videos and all the talks and the guests you've had, what have you gained? What is something that you're going to take with you everywhere when you're having a conversation like this?
I think two things really that come to mind when you ask that question. The first one, I think, is doing this has really taught me to listen. Because I can't come in with assumptions about what your perspective is going to be. And if I truly want to validate your feelings, your emotions, your perspective, welcome it, accept it, and integrate it into my own thought patterns and my life. And, obviously within a work context, it's can I include your perspective in my work and what we're doing? I can't do that without listening. I can't do that without taking a moment to pause and say, I actually don't know what what you're bringing to the table. Can you explain to me what you're bringing to the table? So it's definitely taught me how to listen. More practically, it's taught me the kinds of questions I could be asking people. I think a lot of the times we can be afraid to ask these questions. I remember for the episode we had with some of the staff members from the School of Management, and it was one of the first times they had a discussion like this within the workspace. And, it made me realize how we still have a long way to go and how bold I need to be carrying this passion, this belief that I have that, everyone's perspective deserves a slice of the pie, and having to carry that in an institution where I'm not yet comfortable because at Swansea, we have the wonderful privilege of knowing people within the School of Management, within the wider university. So having conversations like this, yes, it's it takes courage, it's challenging, but in a place where no one knows you that well, it's going to require extra courage to genuinely stand up for what I believe in. I low-key said the second thing in my first answer, but I think for me, that's what doing these has really done for me. It's given me the courage to speak about it in a way that's diplomatic but assertive.
Quite similar to Chido, listening. There's a proverb which I literally have lived by for a very long time, which goes something like, a fool only takes pleasure in sharing their opinion. And that simply means that, when you're constantly sharing your opinion, constantly going out, you don't always give people the opportunity to speak. Or even if they do speak, you don't take time to listen to them. And I think a big part about this, already being passionate about diversity and inclusion and other social justice issues, it has taught me the importance of listening, but also learning from people that are more educated than I am on certain issues, regardless of my passions. And that allows you to realize the nuances in every single discussion. So for me, I think one, from not coming into a lot of conversations with a preconceived notion of what the outcome could be, or who the person is, or what their story is, but to truly come to listen to their story, which for me is such a very important thing. But it's also really given me the confidence to start having these conversations out loud, because these are conversations that Chido and I used to have by ourselves in the safety of our, rooms or on phone calls. And starting to have these conversations out, I think, has kind of ignited that fire again, to start realizing that these are conversations that need to be had. It's not a secret. And it's time that more and more people become aware of it. So I think that is a big takeaway for me, in addition to like the 1,000,001 lessons that we've gotten from all of our previous hosts. So
yeah, I think just to cap what Natasha was saying, as you were speaking and you said the proverb that you live by, it reminded me of a lyric that I live by, and I can't tell you why it's stuck in my mind. It's a Drake lyric. Don't judge me. And he says, "Don't assume because I don't respect assumptions." And not that I don't respect assumptions, but it's definitely something where I have to be open-minded in every conversation that I go into. Not without opinion, but without bias for opinion. And I think that's easier to do now because of, having to speak to different people with different opinions.
100%.
I totally agree with you. Listening, definitely. I think everybody needs to learn to listen. It's something that can save us a lot of trouble in the future. And I believe a lot of problems wouldn't have started if we just sat down and had a simple conversation where you listen to what I have to say and I listen to what you have to say, and we find a middle ground. So So last question would be, what is your advice for the people going into third year now? What do you think kept you going? What do you want to say to the third years coming?
I actually had two immediate answers come into my mind. And the first one I have been telling everyone going into university. To be honest, this is advice for life. Manage your email inbox. Keep on top of that. I think it's such an underrated thing that can make or break how stressed you are at uni. I think also there's so many good opportunities that come via the email inbox, especially some employability for school management specific students. But just the, opportunities that come by from the university that you'll get in there, I think it's so important to stay aware of what's happening, especially for those that will be online, or, people watching this 10 years from now, just whatever opportunities come by, really. I think that's really important. It also helps you be organized. And that's one thing I would say. Another thing is something I have done myself in my life. I used to do a lot of sports in high school. And one thing that's a key thing about being a good sportsman is visualizing your success. And for me, I used to picture walking across that grad stage. Like literally, I would tell you head to toe, from cap to heel. I knew my outfit. I knew like everything that I was going to do, but I would visualize me walking across that grad stage and hearing them say my name and saying, with the first class honors, Chido Natasha, whatever, however they say it. But that was something that honestly got me through the tough times. Have a good support system as well. I think that it's priceless. I know when I was giving my grad speech to my friends, I bawled like a child. Natasha was there, so she can testify. But it was literally like, after having 4 years of university, who are the people that would hold your shoulder, that would give you that pen, or stay up with you till 2 a.m. They were knights. Okay. In fact, here's a story time. Natasha and I had coursework that we were like 80% done. This is the night before the 3 o'clock deadline, right? So mind you, we have like 15 hours until this is due. We discovered that we needed to change 80% of this paper. Like everything we had done
start from scratch.
We had to start from scratch. We were like, so check in every hour to see how we're doing. literally until like 10 a.m., 11 a.m. that morning.
Yeah.
It was the kind of support that Natasha and I had to give each other. So that's just a little example. But I could talk about this forever, so I'll hand over to Tash to give her own answers.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that I would say is, even though we're online, don't take for granted the rest of your year group. The people that are on your course, get to know them, because that correction to change 80% of our coursework came from someone who was doing the same course. And they happened to say, hey guys, I've just figured this out, and you may want to look into that a little bit. And that was literally the difference between us passing that module, because I think it was like 50% of our grade. The difference between us passing and failing. So I think making sure you don't become the person that decides to fight by yourself. I think university, sometimes you feel like, this is my fight, so I'm going to struggle by myself. It doesn't have to be like that. If you're in person and you guys, manage to go back into in-person lectures, say hi to the person next to you, get to know them. When you're in seminars, like, sit next to people, talk to them, figure out their vibe, because the truth is, however you want to work, you will probably find someone who has the same work ethic, and the same kind of drive, and that'll be really, really amazing, and it makes a big difference to your learning experience. So use your colleagues, honestly, and that is a form of networking, and that prepares you for career. And yeah, so I'll say that's one. Use your network, which is your colleagues. The next thing that I would say is, you don't need to know what you want to do, even grad role wise, even though you're in final year and you feel like by now you should have figured it out. It's okay to not know. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I got the job offer. So it's, be open-minded, apply to different things, go to as many events as possible, ask questions. And I know sometimes, especially when we're in university, we're kind of afraid of asking questions because we don't want to look stupid, because you think that at this point in time, I should, if you're studying finance, I should really know my stuff. If someone asks me how to calculate EBITDA or the discounted cash flow, like, I need to bring it up like that. Sometimes you don't. And sometimes you may not have the passion for the thing that you're studying. But if you talk to different people, listen, talk to us. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm sure Chido's very open with her LinkedIn as well. Reach out to us if you want to have a chat, but ask questions and listen to different people's experiences. And that's a form of networking. And that helps you at least be somewhat closer to whatever you're going to choose, because not everyone at the end of university is going to go for a job. Some people are going to go for masters. Some people are going to take over businesses from parents. Some people are going to go into their first grad job. Some people are just going to go traveling. But whatever it is, seek the information so that you can make an informed decision at the end of it. And be kind to yourself. Do the best that you can. Always check in on yourself, mental health wise. Have fun. Like, third year is stressful, but like, have fun. Like, you can't come and like struggle and your third year, the only memory you have is you and your laptop. No, like, have fun, make the most of it. But for me, I think my biggest coping mechanism, like outside of friends and that support, I'm religious, I'm a Christian. So spending time within that community, praying, just taking time to just sit and just like give my woes to the Lord. That has been really helpful and grounding for me. And whether you're religious or even if you're not particularly religious, having something that is grounding for you, that brings you back down, that is something I think everyone should have, because it will be stressful, but you will also be okay.
I agree. I think one thing that my father said to me before I started uni, and I'll remix it to fit final year students, but it's, no matter what happens, you have the knowing, the knowledge, the absolute certainty that time will pass. You know that you have a year, right, to do whatever it is you need to do. And you decide the kind of person that comes out at the end of that year.
100%.
That's completely up to you, regardless of external factors. One thing my mom said to me that I said I will write in a book and I will tell, the people that it was her. But it's, if you have an awareness of your internal success factors, nothing can stop you. If you know the things you need in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, spirit for those who believe in that kind of a thing, if you know what it is that makes you successful internally without anyone, telling you, yes, you can do this, or whatever external hype you need, if you're aware of that, you can do whatever you need in this world.
Yeah. And success by your standards.
Your own standards. Like
not by everyone else's, because we all win differently.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, thank you for the advice. I think the most important thing I'm taking out of this was the support system. Being bred with everything you do, you must come out with, you must pass, you must do this, that being. So it's nice to have that support system. My dad's always there whenever those times where I feel like, can I just, like, there's sometimes where you feel, I just want to go back home, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
This is too much stress. My dad's always there to tell me, you can do this. I don't know why you're giving, and that typical African dad where he'll be like, what's wrong with you? You're stronger than this. What's your problem? You can do this. So it's nice to have that support system, I would say. Yeah. Thank you for the advice. Yeah. Thank you.
No. Always happy.
Always.
Awesome. I think that brings us to the end of this episode.
Very sweet. Thank you so much, Rachel. We, as always, have enjoyed having you here. Thank you to our listeners. I'll hand over to Tasha in a moment to have her final words, but thank you so much for tuning in every time we had a new episode come out. We have thoroughly enjoyed doing this. We couldn't have asked for a better audience, a better platform, a better time to discuss these pertinent issues. I'll give a vote of thanks. Thank you to my co-host, Natasha, who has made this so much easier, and the people who work behind the camera, to Jess, to Kia. Thank you so much. You guys have made it so fun and so easy, honestly, all the hearts, to come out here every, however frequently we did it, to release a new episode. We have enjoyed this. Please comment, subscribe, all the things I used to do every episode.
Yes.
Notifications bell and all that jazz. But Tash.
Yeah, honestly, it's been amazing. Grateful to have had this platform. I really hope that, one, Rachel, you enjoy this, and you have really amazing conversations. And to everyone who's listening, I hope that these conversations just open you up to a whole different world and a whole new way of thinking each time you listen to a different episode. But ultimately, a million thank yous to Swansea, to Jess, Kia. You guys really have supported us in bringing this to be. Thanks, Chido, for not only being my friend, but also co-host, because this has been really good and very insightful for me personally, and has changed me in ways I didn't expect to. So with this, I think this is a wrap to season 1 of KTCG. Imagine that. And to whoever's watching, the next KTCG host after Rachel,
come on,
I hope there's some inspiration here. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you very much. And I guess we are signing out officially.
That's it from us. Stay smiling, stay happy. Bye.
Bye. Brilliant. Chido, I've been speaking for so long.
Wait, Kia will cut this out. I really saw you hand over. Kia will cut this out. We should have a blooper reel. Swansea.
Yep.
Can we redo that?
Oh gosh, I'm really forgetting. Anyway, Kia, please just cut this out because I'm going to do that one more time.